Not bad so far.
No, there's numbness to the roof of the mouth, though. I would say there's some numbness there.
Especially when you swallow, then it starts to hit your throat. Welcome to Hot Nugs, the show with the hot questions and even hotter nuggets. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Goodwin.
I'm Mr. Goodwin.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. A little nervous, but I think we're ready.
You familiar with the show, Hot Ones, by First We Feel?
Somewhat familiar. I've seen the Sydney Sweeney one.
Just that one? Or?
Just that one.
Okay. So, I guess you kind of know what you're in for.
Some spice.
You gonna cheers it? Cheers.
Am I eating this whole thing?
If you want to.
Okay.
You don't have to.
Pretty bland, but I know it takes a second.
Yeah. It's not bad. We're starting off light. What do you think?
I'd say that's like a good slap your mama, like level spice. Yeah.
Okay. So as a physics teacher, obviously, it's a very hands-on class. Would you say you have like a favorite lab?
The ones that I always like murder mysteries. So I always like the crime scene ones where they have to go through a bunch of different clues. And then, so like if there's been a murder or one of them is a falling pot and they have to figure out like which floor it fell from. So like a lot of those are cool because it gives you like a motivated reason to actually want to solve the problem. And so it's not as cool and interesting to see all the fancy stuff. But that's one that I really like because otherwise, I mean, throwing a foam ball around the commons and collecting data on that's always a great time. All right.
All right, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I got all the sauce on that bite.
Yeah, right. Garlicky, right?
Oh, yes. I think that's what I'm going to taste later.
Anything else?
It's like definitely more garlicky. I would say, like if the last one was maybe like a 4 out of 10 spice, this would be like a 2.
So you're at a 4. So you think got less spicy?
I would say that one seems less to me. Yes.
So, as a rowing graduate, what would if you met your college self? What would you say to him?
I would say you're actually going to end up being a teacher. So I didn't originally go to college to be a teacher. I went for computer science, and then I decided to be. Well, I wanted to go to school for film, but then I didn't like Rowan's program for film. So then, and I didn't want to transfer schools because I love Rowan that much. So then I was like, oh, teaching is something that like balances out my various interests that I have.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's be a teacher. And then I picked math because I was good at it. And then that gave me misery for a couple of years, you know. Really bad experience student teaching. So then I didn't even apply for teaching jobs when I graduated college. And this was the first place I landed after I graduated. And I just liked it that much that I'm still here. All right, habanero is a familiar term, but I don't think I know. I'm rolling it over just to get the flavor.
Yeah. I want to stick out a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. That's pretty quick.
And I almost got like a tomato like flavor out of it initially. Like it almost gave me like a ketchup.
Yeah, it was sweet.
It was like a ketchup vibe, and then it immediately shifted to hot.
Yep.
But I'd say still like a 6.
Yeah.
Like,
That one just kind of sits on your tongue a little bit.
Sits on the lips.
Yeah. So you were featured in an article that says you collect iPods.
That is true. That is true information.
How many iPods are we talking?
Okay, so I think the article says specifically 100. And this is true. If you search my name, Zach Goodwin, iPod on Google, it will pop up. But I think it's definitely over 100. But the scope of me owning Apple products is way beyond that. I own like every iteration of iMac, like lots of different like laptops, like the cooler looking ones.
Yeah.
You know? Like phones, whatever. So it's not exclusive just to iPods, but the picture is out there of my iPods.
So you could be more of an Apple enthusiast than just an iPod enthusiast?
Yeah, definitely.
You have a favorite Apple product?
Okay, I have a few. So if it's iPod, one of the grails that I was hard to find is it was a golden iPod mini. So, and the iPod minis are cool because they have little tiny hard drives in them, but they're still relatively big. And like just the gold one was hard to get, but I was able to, I'm really proud of the fact that I own 2 original iPods from 2001. And I like that they have a physical click wheel instead of a touch click wheel. And I got them for like a fantastic deal. But I think my favorite Apple product, iMac G4. So it's from the early 2000s. And if you look it up, it almost looks like, if you ever look at Pixar, you know, and the lamp just like jumps across.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like this dome, and then it's got like this really cool metal arm, and then it's got a monitor that you can just like swivel around.
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's like
Yeah.
a sunflower, yeah.
All right. What do you think? Couple first few bites.
Not spicy yet.
Yeah.
It's more tangy for sure. Like I'm getting some citrus in there, like orangey. Oh, I know it's gonna hit the lips. I can tell. It's like this one time I got tricked, where I asked one of my friends for like a chapstick, and you ever see like those? You ever hear about those lip plumpers? You know what I'm talking about? So
Yeah,
it's basically like a lip gloss that makes your mouth
Just-
like explode off of your face. Think Kylie Jenner lip challenge, right?
Yeah.
And like this is it. It's like burning of the lips, and this is definitely, I think, getting there.
So, obviously, you said you started off as a teacher and you did computer science, and now you do physics. So you obviously have a lot of certifications. Would you say you have a favorite class that you would like to teach, or something that you'd be more interested in teaching kids?
Okay. So I've always wanted to teach German, even before I was a science teacher. So when I was in high school, I took German all 4 years, and I had a really great teacher. So then when I went to college, my advisor for computer science and then eventually math, he also ended up being like a professor for a German class. And he's like, "Oh, you like German? Just join." Sure. Like I didn't, and it set on taking college classes for it. And it's kicking in. On the tip of the tongue.
Was that milk for that one?
Yeah, just a little bit though, just a little bit of milk. We're just gonna sip.
Yeah.
You know? So I took like an elementary German class, and even though it's still like ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, like it was great. And then I eventually just took every single German class that Rowan offered, and they only had up to a minor and not like a major.
Yeah.
But I almost considered transferring to Rutgers Camden to get a degree in German instead of math because I hated math that much. And so I'm qualified to teach German. I would love to teach German. I literally talk it all the time, but that's the one. What was the last one?
I think this one was 11,000.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, big jump.
Well, that's why we're getting to the crazy cartoons, you know?
Yeah,
went,
now
we went
start-
from a classy little cartoon to some animated. Okay.
Bottles get smaller.
All right, let's see.
All right. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Well, the taste is kind of like buffalo. Almost tastes like a pickle. Okay, the heat's coming in.
You feeling it? Yeah. Takes a little bit, right? Some of them are just punch you in the face.
I aspire to be like Lord with this, okay? I am familiar with the lore. That Lord, it's like you cannot outspice Lord. Okay.
Would you say it's scarier to watch a student take flight or to be on stage yourself in your high school show, Grease?
It's an interesting question. So we love the theater world because I always did a summer show and then the school show. But I would say it was a very similar amount of nerves because I still had that feeling of like if I mess something up, everybody sees, you know? So even though I'm backstage and nobody would know that it was specifically me that made that mistake, if I make a mistake, everybody knows.
Yeah.
So I'd say similar nerves in that way, but I was way less nervous doing the flight. Both things I would say, like on stage and off stage, are heavily rehearsed. And on stage is definitely more fun.
So does it take a lot to put a student in the air?
It does. So it took us 4 people, but for one student to fly or one actor to fly, it would take 2 people. So I was the runner guy, so I'm the left to right guy, and then Mr. Henderson was the lifter.
So what was your stage crew experience like during high school?
So I never did stage crew, but I did the acting. So my first experience, I remember I was 8. I was one of the toys in the background of the shop in the musical Big. But then like later on, I didn't touch it again until 8th grade. And they had me, I was the lead in Charleston, which is like I had to have a Texan accent and everything. When I was a little kid, I really wanted to be an actor. And I love movies, like I'm a movie buff. So like I like to be involved in theater in school just because I like the acting component to it. That's why I worked at the movies, like that's why I wanted to go to film school, like all these things, but there's no money in that, so. So this is the cry one, you think? Like we're drinking some milk?
It could be.
All right.
All right. Color isn't very, yeah.
It almost looks like a teriyaki, like the rest were a little orange, and
orange.
This one's brown.
Dark. You ready?
Some Peruvian puff peppers in here. Just so the audience sees.
Doesn't taste too nice.
There's honestly no flavor, and it's starting to get the spice. Like there's just no taste.
Yeah, it just doesn't taste like anything. It's just hot.
So I think that's when we say it's peppery. You know, when it's bland, I always say it's peppery.
If that's a term.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a correct term to use.
Not bad so far.
No, there's numbness to the roof of the mouth, though. I would say there's some numbness there.
Especially when you swallow, then it starts to hit your throat.
And it's like hitting the sides of the tongue. Yeah, I feel a little burn. Yeah, we're good though, I think.
So, being mostly fluent in German, would you say you have like a favorite phrase or sentence that you like to say?
A phrase I say all the time is "Es ist in meinen Kopf gefallen," and so that's the German way of saying that, like I get it, I got it, and the more direct way of saying it is "it fell in my head." So when the Germans understand something, they say "it fell in my head." So for whatever reason, that's always been in my brain, and we're gonna, you know what? We're not doing the milk.
Not yet.
We're gonna do the water.
I did water first.
But I can tell the eyes are burning.
That one kind of rhymes too. Yeah.
And I think it's cool they call cell phones little handies. They call them their handies. And I always crack up that my German teacher, who was young, and he was around my age when I had him, he would always say, like, you know, a way that they say, like, oh, that's so cool. They'd be like, ja, das ist der Hammer. And I remember we had German exchange students, and he was like playing up on that. And the kids just kind of looked at him and said, nobody says that. Like, old people talk like that. And that was a funny moment, but yeah. I'm feeling the spice.
Yeah, that one starts to build more after it takes longer. So, you've survived the Dinos of Death.
Yes.
How was it?
Da bomb! It was the bomb.
We have one camera there and one camera there. If you have any wisdom or anything you'd like to share with the audience, what would you say to them?
I would say you never know who's watching, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? And you never know who's watching you. So always be good, you know, do what you're supposed to do, keep your head up, stay out of trouble, and you shouldn't have any issues.
Well, you've done it. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you enjoyed.
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. I'd never had Dino Nuggets in this form, and I appreciated your questions.